know what you're going to find outside your door when you're living in Maine.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. At least 15 turkeys walking around. Man, oh man.
Alright, we're going to try to get these pests back for eating all of our good vegetables. What we have, as we know, is this great electric fence, but it actually had a lot of challenges for us. We've had it up for these 2 years, and each year the different animal that we were worried about seems to have disappeared, so we never electrified the fence. It just wasn't an issue. And now it is, so something keeps coming in here. And so we just hooked it up the other day, and we found a few different troubleshooting issues with the fence. The main one is that when we put our electricity volter tester right up to the fence, it did not have the voltage it needed. Our battery had plenty of voltage, but the fence wasn't registering enough volts. So something was coming into contact with it and making it so that the electrical voltage is not what you want for repelling animals. Well, it turns out that it's as simple as grass growing right here. So you have this bottom strand here is not electrified. These strands here are electrified, and so are these. So if this strand gets on the ground here and comes into contact with other things, it starts losing its voltage and putting it into the ground, which we don't want. So at the very least, what we learned is that if you pull these incredibly tight, like we've tried to do here, this strand will not fall at all on the ground, and that will keep your voltage higher. So we're going to try that. But let me show you how we put the electrical charge actually together. So we have about 250 feet of fence going here, and where each part of our fence connects, there are these two different connectors, and when you slide them together, that makes the electrical connection connecting the two parts of the fence. This is the battery that you use to charge the whole thing. It has a solar panel. The one we're using is called Solar IntelliShock 60, and so this panel keeps it charged. We don't have to do anything in terms of that. And the way you can install it is you take your grounding post and you slide that into the ground. You then put the charger on there, and you want the solar panel to face south. That way it will get the most sun and keep things charged. Alright, so positive, negative, it's very simple. Just put the negative onto the grounding post that we were talking about, and then you connect the positive to that little clip that we were just talking about, and there's just a button right here. We have electrified the fence. So right now what it's reading is 4,000 volts, and what we're going to do is see if that helps keep the critters out that seem to be appearing nightly at the moment. We'll see how it works. Okay, so after a few days, our electrical fence went from 4,000 volts back down to 2,500 volts. And that's just really not the recommended amount for having keeping pests out. Trying to figure out what's going on, we spoke with some really helpful support teams at Premier One. Honestly, they took all the time we needed and really helped us out answering the questions and offering tips for how to solve our problem. But their solution was a pretty labor-intensive solution. What it involved was again taking the whole fence down. We mowed along the whole fence line and then put the fence back up again with that really tight, really taut spacing between the posts so that none of the fence is lying on the ground. After doing all that, we were back up to 4,000 volts, which kind of surprised me. I thought that if we mowed all that land and mowed all that ground and had the fence off the ground, we'd be up to 8,000 volts or so, which is what originally comes off of our charger here. So the process of redoing the fence was super labor intensive, as I mentioned. One thing that really helped us was we got a little mallet here. It's a metal mallet, and that allowed me to put it in the ground a little bit more easily. That said, we've got some incredibly rocky soil, so there's nothing easy about taking this whole fence down and putting it back up. Especially when we did get the voltage we needed. It was up to 4,000 volts, which was still less than I was expecting. But after a couple days, unfortunately, it fell right back down to 2,500. So we've now taken this whole fence down twice, re-put the stakes in. As one part of the process, unfortunately broke off the bottom stake here, So that shows you that if we keep doing this repeatedly, our fence will probably wear out. I don't know if we'd have just insanely, especially rocky soil, so that's what's, I don't know, it just doesn't seem right. We're not going to probably be able to keep doing this multiple times every summer and not lose more stakes of this fence. So now we're back to 2500 volts. Fortunately, the larger animals that were digging for grubs in the garden, they are not coming back anymore. I think the few nights that it was at 4000 volts was enough to teach them and train them not to come into the garden. Now we're back at 25 volts, 1000 volts. Animals aren't coming back. I'm probably not going to deal with this again by taking the whole thing down again. But it is going to be a problem we're going to have to keep watching, and hopefully we'll find some solution, because this is our only barrier between us and all the animals in these woods that want to eat our delicious vegetables.